Boltzmann here, welcome back to my studio. In this video, I'm going to be deconstructing the samples from DJ Shadow's Mutual Slump, which came out on his incredible 1996 album, Introducing. So the main keyboard sample was famously taken from Björk's Possibly Maybe from her 1995 album, Post.
As much as I definitely enjoy solitude, I wouldn't mind perhaps spending little time with you. Sometimes, possibly maybe.
So I have a couple of production notes on how DJ Shadow sampled this keyboard. First of all, I think we're going to have to detune this keyboard sample by around 2.5 semitones. Now you can hear halfway through this chord that keyboard from the intro comes in. And in Shadows, that sound isn't there. And there's a couple of different ways you could do that on a modern DAW, but what I've chosen to do is to show you, I think, the method that he used on his MPC. So what I've done is I've taken the sampler instrument in Ableton Live, and it kind of mimics the way that you might sample on a hardware sampler. And so what I've done here is I've taken the first chord, and I have it looping back on itself just before that glitchy keyboard comes in, which you can see demonstrated here. Now that we have our main keyboard, let's focus on those incredible drums. And they come from the Swedish act Pugh or Rogefeldt from their 1969 track, Love, Love, Love. These drums are just fantastic from DJ Shadow's perspective because he's always looking for drums that are unique and interesting. It must have been a good day when he heard this intro to this track. The bass drum is really resonant and it's playing a note. And the same kind of thing with the snare, where he's hitting the rim of the snare and the skin of the snare at the same time. And when you do that with a snare that is tuned a certain way, you can get certain notes to be played. And it has a lot of personality. So DJ Shadow sort of chose to take those notes from the drums and the uniqueness of those drums and turn that into the hook or the signature of Mutual Slump. So let's go ahead and sample these drums. We're going to start by taking each hit, just like he would have done. And I'm going to put an EQ here, which you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. And I have a couple of compressors going on as well. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea what hardware compressor Shadow or Dan the Automator would have used on Introducing. I've always been kind of curious about that, and I don't think I've ever heard an answer. But here I've gone ahead and I've used an LA2A compressor, as well as a built-in compressor in Live. So let's combine that with Björk's keyboard. So the next sample to come in is, of course, from Roger Waters and Ron Geesin and their banger, The Seven Dwarves in Penisland, from the 1970 album Music from the Body. And so this is pitched down by 2.5 semitones. Introducing is quite famously known as the first album to ever be built entirely from samples. Now, that claim has been somewhat disputed over the years, and one of the reasons is that this voice here that you heard talking about roller skating is in fact DJ Shadow's partner at the time, who is now his wife, I believe, and so he would have recorded her talking and then put her into this track. Now, you could make the argument that it is in fact still sampling because she wasn't recording a vocal take for this track. I'm sure he was just recording her talking, and then he sampled that and put it in here. Now, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Does it matter to you that that is not technically a sample from another record? Does it taint Introducing at all? As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't bother me in the least because the magic of Introducing doesn't come from the fact that it is exclusively samples. It comes from what DJ Shadow did with those samples. Now, moving on in the track here, you're going to hear the next sample come in just after that break. And that comes from Ed Thigpen's Action Reaction from 1974. So this is pitched down by 1.5 semitones, and I'm sure you heard it there in the intro. It is that flute, and I think the celeste. And then there's another sample that he takes from there as well that comes in. So let's listen to both of those here. So the last sample I'm going to talk about is the horn solo that happens here at the end. And that saxophone comes from OM and their track Hommage à Stirnimaa from 1976. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop that sample in there. It is down by about half a semitone. So let's listen to that in context. And so those drums that you hear at the end and that guitar that sounds like a voice is also obviously from a Pugh Rogefeldt, which is where the drums are from. And so that makes up the intro and the outro of Mutual Slump. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this video up. If you like this kind of thing, feel free to give a thumbs up. If you like what I'm making here, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. And on that note, I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.